Welcome in A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday, April the 21st. Happy draft week to everybody involved. We're excited about it. We're fired up. We are ready to see the Titans add players that are going to help them get back from the basement of the NFL, including that player that you see just to the left of you in Cam Ward, or just to the left of me in Cam Ward, who we are fully expecting to be selected with the number one overall draft pick. That's where things are at right now. And of course, there's a great many other things that the Titans have to add in this upcoming draft. They need receiver help. They need pass rush depth. Hell, they need pass rush depth and pass rush starters. They need offensive line help. They need a corner because L'Jarius Sneed is embroiled in a bit of legal controversy. So it's not a quick fix. It's going to be a process, but the process starts in earnest or gets underway in just about 3 days from now, right now, as a matter of fact. Hell, by the time 7:18 p.m. on Thursday night, I fully expect our night to be halfway over. I expect Cam Ward to be selected. I expect a Zoom call to have taken place. Hopefully they can get us going on the press conference by 7:30. I'd love to be home during the first round of the NFL draft by about 8 o'clock because it's pretty turnkey that way. Maybe we stick around. Maybe we play it out. Maybe we see if they don't trade the second round pick while we are still working our way through the proceedings on Thursday. But for the most part, this whole thing's pretty turnkey. Now, the question that we are going to talk about tonight is the NFL draft rumors. There is no disputing that Cam Ward is going to be the number one overall draft pick unless, a trade offer from the football gods drops from the sky into Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi's lap. Right now, it's not expected to happen, but I suppose you could always leave the door slightly ajar just on that percentage chance that somebody may get super desperate and make a likely bad decision and give up way too much to come up for the number one overall pick. But in the absence of that, we fully expect Cam Ward to go to Tennessee. Now, the rest of this is rumor season around basically everything that's going to happen after number 3. And really, you could argue that at pick number 3, there's no sure thing as to what the New York Giants want to do. Benjamin Buck says if Callahan talks tomorrow, you won't get home until 10 p.m. Yes, we are going to have a pre-draft press conference with Borgonzi, Brinker, Callahan, all three of them, Tuesday at 1 o'clock Central Time for those of you who are hanging out here in Nashville. And of course, we will have concluded the radio show by then, but we will talk at great length I'm not doing primetime tomorrow night, but we will talk at great length throughout the course of the week, or I guess on Wednesday, and on the radio show on Wednesday about what they had to say and everything that we can ascertain beyond, hey, you guys are going to take this quarterback? You're not. You're gonna actually gaslight us into thinking that you could still get a trade or not. Well, what's the vibe here? And also, are you going to trade Will Levis? What's your wide receiver situation looking like if you don't expect Treylon Burks to be ready even for the start of the season? Would be a significant stretch, and I don't think anybody's putting any eggs in that basket. I guess that's an appropriate metaphor coming off Easter weekend, but there's so many different things that can be had in this draft. It's just a question of how the Titans are going to go about it and the rumor mill that is going to impact them after pick number 1 overall. So we'll work our way through that. We'll get into the rumors that we are buying and the rumors that we are selling, and then we'll see what Bert has at the end of the primetime show. We appreciate you guys showing up. We need you guys to share the broadcast around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, if you would be so inclined. If you're hanging out on Twitter, please retweet the show. It's in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're on Facebook Live, like who we got? We got Cody Williams. We got John Bobst. I see Lewis Chesney. I see Corey D. Jackson. Any of you, if you want to share now to public in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you're on YouTube, there's Rashid Jenkins. There's Ann Herndon. I see E.B. Titan. So many of you hanging out on all these different platforms. Like the video. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Text the link to one friend, just one friend, and we will grow the show together because a lot of Titans fans are excited. You've been waiting since mid-October to draft this damn quarterback, to send Will Levis packing, and to make sure that you can have a significantly better football product in 2025 than you did just 1 year ago. We'll dive into all those things together. In fact, we should quit screwing around and get this show started because I have Fox Sports Radio yet to do tonight. I got a lot of work to do this draft week, but that's okay. I'm excited about it. I'm re-energized. We've finally gotten through the doldrums of the offseason, and now we are full speed ahead. So let's go ahead and do it, shall we? Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. Hello, welcome. Happy draft week to all of you, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. You deserve to be paid if you've experienced an automobile accident or personal injury. BartDurham.com for more information. By Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Employee pricing for everyone right now on almost every new Ford on the lot. TwoRiversFord.com for more info. Zen Sports, we got the NBA postseason going on. You got the NHL playoffs going on as well. Baseball is still in, no pun intended, full swing. Zen Sports is your place to wager on all your favorite major sports using that promo code ATOZTN that you see just to my right here. If you are in need of a workout, TrueMath Fitness is the best place that you can go. Go to TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. Draft week officially upon us. Cam Ward, we know. Okay, so does the draft start at 2? Well, not really, because it sounds like the Cleveland Browns are on almost as direct of a course to draft Travis Hunter as the Titans are to draft Cam Ward. Bhavin Patel says, is Jeff Simmons getting traded? I've got no indication that Jeffrey is available. No indication that they've taken any calls that they've gotten on him seriously. Depending on how their season goes, I guess we could revisit something like that on the trade deadline. But that's not a real draft rumor. Now, I know they've had a bunch of visits, bunch of 30 visits with interior defensive linemen, and you can make of that what you will. I think you need interior defensive linemen with or without Jeff Simmons on the roster because your pass rush sucks ass based on what was available to you last year, which was an injured Jeffrey Simmons, a rookie Tavondre Sweat, Arden Key, and the ghost of Harold Landry, who is, of course, on his way, if he's not already there, to Foxborough to reunite with Mike Vrabel. You need pass rush help. You need defensive line depth. And it doesn't make sense. The only reason that it would make sense to trade Jeff is if you got multiple picks back in return. So if you got, I don't know, a 3 and a 5 for Jeff Simmons, I might think about it because you don't have a 3, and you could certainly package the 5th into something else because right now you have 2 5th-round picks, 2 4th-round picks, no 3rd-round pick, a 2nd, a 1st, 2 6th, and no 7ths. The only way that trading Jeff would make sense is if you got multiple picks, because if you trade Jeff for 1 draft pick, then you're probably going to use 1 draft pick to replace Jeffrey Simmons. And so that just doesn't add up to me. They could potentially get a better offer. His contract is very cost effective relative to the rest of the interior defensive linemen. But just to answer your question, I know that's a long-winded answer. I got no real sense that Jeff is up for grabs, at least around the draft. Talk to me at trade deadline. We'll see how their season goes. If they're shitty again and they're just trying to get as much draft picks or as many draft picks as humanly possible, then perhaps we revisit the idea of a Jeff Simmons trade. All the different things that you have at your disposal, though, there's a bunch of different rumors flying around, right? The Jeff Simmons one is not one that I think has any basis in reality, other than it's worth noting that they're visiting with a lot of interior defensive linemen. So let's start with draft rumors that you're buying. Which draft rumor have you heard that you believe the most? There are any number of draft rumors that could be out there. There's the idea that the New Orleans Saints are not interested in a quarterback because of the Derek Carr situation. There is the idea that the New York Giants, while they are in desperate need of a quarterback, may still end up drafting Abdul Carter. There's all manner of stuff that's out there in the ether right now. Are the Jags going to go chalk at 5 and take Mason Graham, the interior defensive lineman out of Michigan, or could they switch things up a little bit and really put a hurting to you in the AFC South by drafting Ashton Genty behind an offensive line that's not good, but good enough with a significant enough playmaker. Which draft rumor are you buying the most of the ones that you have heard? We will talk about it together. It is your Two Rivers Ford Take. Your Two Rivers Ford Take, as you know, is made possible by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. Employee pricing for everyone. That's what they've got going on right now. That means you pay what they pay on almost every new Ford on the lot. They don't ever upcharge at Two Rivers Ford. They don't tack on additional services or packages, detailing to up the price point just to price gouge you throughout the course of the car buying process. Hell, their sales staff doesn't even work on commission, which means that they sell you a car, whether, or rather, they get a paycheck whether they sell you a car that day or not. So there's no pressure on you throughout the course of the car buying experience. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, over 40 years in Middle Tennessee. Quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service online at tworiversford.com. All right, draft rumors that you're buying. Haven't been a ton around the Titans specifically, really since the combine. Like since they had an extended meeting situation with Cam Ward, it's kind of been, all right, we're good here. We can go ahead and move on, at least at the top, right? At least for the number one overall pick. You leave yourself open for the opportunity for the Godfather trade package offer, but no such trade package manifested. And that wasn't a rumor, that was real. The Giants were very much trying to rectify their quarterback situation. They haven't been able to do so. They really wanted Matt Stafford at the combine. They missed out. They made significant offers to the Titans, but the Titans, according to Adam Schefter on his pre-draft notebook on ESPN, pretty much said they're good on at least what the Giants were offering at the time, beyond any extremes that the Giants might have ended up going to. So draft rumors around the Titans, there hasn't been a ton other than, all right, well, are they going to move the second round pick? Are they going to stick and pick at 35? What's the vibe around this team? Now, elsewhere, there's a million different things going on because we know what we think we know. We're almost certain we know what the top three are going to be. Cam Ward to Tennessee, Travis Hunter to play wide receiver in Cleveland. Then I would be stunned, absolutely shocked if the New York Giants did not take Abdul Carter before the Patriots pick at 4, where they are almost, if Abdul Carter is gone, of course, they are as big a lock for Will Campbell, the offensive tackle, as any other position to any other team in the draft, because the Patriots' offensive line is ghastly. It is worse than the Titans by a significant margin, and they missed out on Ronnie Stanley. They missed out on the opportunity to add a quality left tackle through free agency, because it's not like there was a ton out there. So they have to address their offensive line group if Abdul Carter is not there. If Abdul Carter is there, then it becomes a much different conversation. So that's where things start to get kind of murky, right? The draft rumor that I'm buying is something that we had heard basically throughout the course of the entire draft process, but one that has really been hammered home since it was determined, all right, it's Cam Ward at the quarterback position, and then it's just what Coach Matt calls Roy's, the rest of y'all. It's Cam Ward and the rest of y'all. What I am buying is the idea that there are really not a significant difference in the quality of player drafted that will be available at number 10 is basically the same quality of player that you could get at 32. If there are, and I'm sure it depends on teams, and not all teams are created equal. Not all front offices are created equal. Not all scouting staffs and general managers think the same way. But if you polled 32 teams around the league, I bet they would tell you that even the generous ones would say, yeah, there's probably about 6 to 8 players who have a true, legitimate, genuine first-round grade on them. Now, of course, there's not 6 to 8 players picked in the first round. There's 32 players picked in the first round. But this year's draft has been impacted by a couple of different things. One, first and foremost, it's not a strong quarterback draft. If you need a quarterback and you're not the Tennessee Titans sitting at 1, you're kind of banged. 2, NIL had and will continue. It's not the first year that this has happened, but we are starting to see residual effects growing year by year. NIL has really caved in day 3 of the draft as to what you can actually acquire versus players who stood to make more money. Hell, Cam Ward last year. And I'm not sure what his NIL compensation was in 2024, and I don't know how much that had to do with it. But I know that Cam Ward was a day 2, potentially day 3 graded player when he was considering coming out of Wazoo in 2024. Cam Ward went back to Miami. Cam Ward significantly improved his draft stock. I'm sure he improved his financial situation as well. So a day 2 to day 3 developmental quarterback that could have been a hit for one team, a great value for one team had he gone in 24, and likely would have bridged the gap between Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler. I think it was the 12th overall pick to basically the 5th round, if I remember, if that was where Rattler was drafted. It was definitely day 3 before another quarterback came off the board. But think about that. Any team would have loved to take a flyer in the 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th round on a Cam Ward coming out of Washington State, even though he was not yet Cam Ward, right? So Cam Ward went back for developmental reasons. There are plenty of players who would go back for developmental reasons, but there's far more, especially on day 3, that go back for financial reasons. The name, image, and likeness existence has really impacted the quality of players that teams can expect to see on day 3 at this point in time. So the question becomes this: which rumor are you buying the most? The rumor that I'm buying the most, because I don't think it's rumor. I think, like I said, if you interviewed 32 teams or executives from 32 teams, I bet 28 of them would tell you, yeah, we don't have 10 guys in this draft with a true first-round grade. That's the draft rumor that I'm buying the most at this point in time. We will hear from Todd McShay, as a matter of fact, from his podcast here in just a second, the Todd McShay Show, about the rumor mill that's going on. And we'll read some more of your comments right after I remind you that the Primetime program made possible by Bart Durham Injury Law. You deserve to be paid. And that is what Bart Durham Injury Law is there to provide to you. Personal injury, automobile accidents, so many different areas that are encompassed by their practice, so many different case results that you can review online at bartdurham.com. And a free consultation is also available to you because you deserve to be paid. So get the compensation that you deserve if you've experienced any of these situations, or just find out whether you could stand to be compensated for an issue that has befallen you. bartdurham.com for more information. So this is Todd McShay and his co-host Steve Mensch on the Todd McShay Show, or the McShay Show rather, talking about the rumors that they're starting to hear at this time of year.
Whew. 2 more edge teams I want to fill you in on. Atlanta, James Pierce and Walter Nolan, 2 guys I keep hearing they've got some red flags, some football character red flags attached with them. I'm hearing Atlanta is maybe perfectly fine to overlook those things. You know, another organization that does? The Cincinnati Bengals, pick at 17. So whichever guys aren't there, Mike Green, James Pierce, Mike Green attacked his issues head on. People in the league were surprised he did it at the combine with the 2 accusations, sexual assault, and he talked about it freely, and you can look that up too. But I'm told, and James Pierce stuff we've kind of covered, the football character, we'll leave it at that. But I'm told those 2 organizations would be willing to overlook it. And Walter Nolan's another guy, excuse me, to keep into consideration at 15. Okay.
So that is Todd McShay on his podcast talking about rumors that he's hearing around defensive linemen specifically. The James Pierce quote-unquote football character, and we'll leave it at that stuff, really drives me crazy because I haven't gotten a concrete answer on, is he just like a pain in the ass? Like what institutes what institutes football character? 2, what does it mean to have a lack of football character? Just that he doesn't love it enough? I don't understand why it's been so broad around James Pierce, even though it's something that's being used to kind of ding him for it. I don't think that he's, a surefire, first ballot All Pro or Hall of Famer or first ballot Hall of Famer or 10-time All Pro or something like that. I'm very curious to see what actually becomes of some of these players who have this nebulous stuff around them, or if it's just a tool that teams are leaking out there to bring their draft stock down and to potentially be able to add a quality player later than you think you might have been able to do otherwise. Billy says, Buck, do you believe Cam Ward is a true first-round pick? Yes. Or a true number one overall? I mean, yeah, this year I think he's absolutely worthy of the number one overall pick. And it's taken me some time to get there for sure. But, that's because I'm doing a bunch of shit during football season and I didn't have the opportunity to watch every Miami game. I've now seen every Miami game. I've seen a good bit of his second year. I've seen all of his second year at Wazoo, and I've seen about half of his first year at Wazoo. Did not watch a ton of Incarnate Word because that's just so far removed. That's 4 years ago, and he's a dramatically different player. But it is evident to see the progression between him at Washington State year one, him at Washington State year two, him at Miami in his fifth and final year of collegiate eligibility. So while, I'm sure I had strong opinions one way or the other, because, I'm never lacking in terms of strong opinions. Maybe sometimes I should couch that before I have the opportunity to review all the things that I need to review. But since then, yeah, Cam Ward is absolutely worthy of the number one overall pick in this year's draft. No doubt in my mind. Worthy of a first-round pick. No doubt in my mind. He would have been a first-round pick last year. He would have been a first-round pick the year prior. Where he would have gone, who's to say? That's a hypothetical that we can't entertain. But there's nothing that really. I have no trepidation about the prospect. Now, could Tennessee screw him up? Sure. It happened to Marcus Mariota as the second overall pick. They drafted him to a shitty organization with shitty leadership and a shitty coach and a shitty general manager and a shitty offensive line and a shitty defense. And he got hurt and it ruined his career, or it helped derail his career significantly. Marcus has done well to continue to add value to rosters across the league, whether he's been in Vegas or Atlanta. Washington now is a mentor figure to Jaden Daniels, which he is so perfect for, especially as a former number 2 overall pick himself. It is something that, organizations screw up players. There are far fewer players who bust of their own volition than shitty football teams that aren't equipped to support the talent that they pick at the top of the draft and end up ruining these guys' careers. I will believe that until the day that I die, because I've covered an NFL organization that has sometimes been good and a lot of times been bad. Well, let me take that back. That's recency bias. They have, for the vast majority of this is going to be my 9th season, vast majority of my 9 years here, they have been a functional, quality football team. But it's been some time since then. And they were bad when I got here. They had 6 straight winning seasons after that. And then the last 3 years, they've been trying to dig themselves out of a ditch. So organizations ruin players so often. So I have no questions about Cam Ward. I have plenty of questions about the Titans' ability to handle Cam Ward and to help Cam Ward and to support and develop Cam Ward. And we will get the answers to those questions throughout the course of this season and the following, and as long as Cam Ward is playing football in the city of Nashville, Tennessee. So the draft rumor that I'm buying is that there's probably not 10 players in this first round that organizations have a true first-round grade on. I saw a couple of you talking about some draft rumors that I think have actual legs. I saw some of you guys mention that, where is Ann's comment? She said something to the effect of she believes that Jalen Milroe, she's buying the rumor that Jalen Milroe could go in the first round. There are Milroe in the first, she says. There we go. Lots of rumors about Levis. Are you buying those? Because, there's not been – the only rumor that I've heard around Will Levis is that he's available. And that's not a rumor. That's a fact. So there's nothing real concrete around Levis. until we get into the draft, it's tough for me to say with any kind of certainty that Will Levis would be traded throughout the course of the 3 days of draft weekend. It makes far more sense to me before the draft begins and before we actually get into the meat of this thing and before we see how teams start to shift and one franchise takes this player and that takes another player out of line for the next franchise in line to pick, and it just kind of, everybody's adapting as necessary with their draft boards and how they formulated it. It makes way more sense to me that Will Levis would be traded after the draft, because I think teams are going to look around and be like, what am I going to give up a 5th round pick for Will Levis when I can go through the draft process, know that Tennessee wants to get him out of there, and give up a 7th for him before training camp just so that they don't outright cut the kid and eat a bunch of money on it. Because he's on a cost-effective deal. He's on a rookie quarterback contract. He's on a 2nd-round quarterback contract, and that's a steep drop from 1st round to 2nd round, even if he is at the top of the 2nd round. So there's no rumors really around Levis right now. It's just factual reporting that he is available, even as they gaslight you. And I know Chad Brinker, I think, gave the interview most recently to Jimmy White of the team's website saying that they fully expect him to come in here and compete for the starting quarterback job. Okay, we better not. You can say that, and that can be how you have to operate with him on your roster, and that can be what you tell him, and that can be how he approaches the job and all those different things. But you better get his ass out of here. You better get his ass out of here fast, and you better get something for him, because he's a sunk cost after spending a 2nd and a 3rd round pick on him, and he's a lovely human being. I have no issues with Will Levis personally. He's always been professional in his dealings with us on the front end. I think he's been professional in the way that he's tried to handle himself. I know for a fact, because I've talked to so many different people at basically every level of that organization, that they have no doubt that he gets it in the meeting rooms. It's just when he gets out on the field that he turns into a maniac, and you can't trust his decision making, and you can't have a quarterback on the roster that you don't trust, even if he's a backup, because the backup quarterback you have to trust. You have to trust the backup quarterback implicitly. You can't expose yourself to 18 individual turnovers, especially when you just need a guy to come in and go 2-2 if your starter goes down for an injury situation. So I saw Ann say something, reading a lot of Ann comments tonight. Ann's a good commenter. She says, that leaked video wasn't super professional. Well, his Snapchat got hacked. I talked to some people at that he was working with to help clean up that situation, and no pun intended. We don't got to get into that. I'm sure he'd like to put that behind him. But anyway, so that's the draft rumor that I'm buying. The draft rumor that I'm selling is something that we can talk about coming up next, and it does impact the Titans, specifically at 35. We'll get into that here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the wonderful people at Zen Sports. Promo code ATOZTN gets you in on all the action. You can use that promo code. You can get up to $100 on your no danger first wager on basketball. Hopefully the Grizzlies don't get their heads kicked in tomorrow night. I saw some of you guys commenting to that effect. The Knicks and the Pistons at halftime right now. You can still bet on the late game at, I believe, tip is at 9 p.m. So Zen Sports, promo code ATOZTN on all your favorite major sports. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet at Zen Sports. David Bezans, forgive me if I've mispronounced it, David, says, I think Levis would have done a lot better had we had an offensive line. Yeah, that's revisionist history. It's too late now. Now you do have a better offensive line, but you're getting a better quarterback too, a significantly better collegiate quarterback who has a more proven track record of success and doesn't seem to come with the, how should I phrase this? The mental rigidities that Will Levis has. He's just very wound tight. And that is not an ideal situation for a player at the quarterback position, especially when he gets into a lot of visceral moments in real-time moments. But we don't have to relitigate the Levis thing. Well, we can talk more Will Levis if and when you hope, if you're a Titans fan, knock on something, knock on I guess that's not wood, but either way, you get my point. When Will Levis gets traded, he absolutely must get traded, because if they cut him, and he could get cut, that's bad business to eat that kind of money, especially for a quarterback, especially when you gave up Malik Willis for a 7th-round pick. And I think a lot of people in that organization might look around and say, damn, I wish we hadn't done that. Anyway, rumors that I'm selling. There's a couple of different rumors out there, understandably so, about Shedeur Sanders, because the question that looms largest over this draft, at least in the early going, is where the hell could Shedeur Sanders end up? It continues, to me, to be the most intriguing first-round draft storyline. And according to multiple reports from multiple outlets, no team has done more work on one player than the New York Giants have done on Shedeur Sanders. So the Giants are picking at number 3, but Abdul Carter is going to be there at number 3 in this world where Cam Ward 1, Travis Hunter 2, best player, arguably, best prospect, arguably, in the draft class, sitting there at number 3. You take that and you run. But the Giants have a desperate need at quarterback. Daniel Jones is obviously gone. He's in Indianapolis. Tommy DeVito and Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, all at different stages of their careers. None of them good at this point in time, especially not in the offensive situation. I know they have Malik Neighbors, which is better than a lot of teams have. But I mean, there's so many things that Russell and Jameis and DeVito aren't going to be able to solve. And it doesn't mean that Shedeur could solve them either. But if you drafted Shedeur to sit behind Russell, well, then that makes the most sense. But to do it at 3, I don't know. That would be a really, really difficult thing to stomach. Here's, again, Todd McShay on his podcast talking about the Giants and Shedeur.
Quarterback stuff, we've been a step ahead the whole way, and I've gotten confirmation on a lot of things. And in fact, it may be a little bit more dire for these quarterbacks than we thought, okay? We all know Cam Ward's going number 1 to Tennessee. That's a lock. Travis Hunter's going number 2 to Cleveland, according to everyone I've talked to, in the league, out of the league, sources, insiders, everyone. Cleveland, Travis Hunter's 2. Here's where it gets interesting, okay? Shedeur Sanders, remember I said last week, Shedeur Sanders is, don't get overly excited about everyone flying around, all these private meetings, the Giants flying to, it was, I think on Thursday was Boulder, Friday was Tuscaloosa, and Saturday was Louisville, right? Everything that we said last week lines up. Mm-hmm. This was about the second wave of quarterbacks. This was not about necessarily at number 3. However, I do have this information. I've heard this now from more than 3 people. Sometimes the personnel department has an agenda or an opinion, okay? And then the coaches have an agenda or an opinion. And I'm interested to get your take on this. I'm told by multiple sources, I'm not saying everyone in the scouting department for the New York Giants, but I'm saying all the rumors and all the buzz you've been hearing about these about Shedeur and the New York Giants, and you keep hearing everyone say, and I told you I had that conversation last Sunday, a week ago, don't close the book on Shedeur or the Giants. Something's going on there. Something's going on. And it was, and it still maybe is, and I'm not sure in the last 24 hours, but as of 48 hours ago, there's still a little push from the personnel department. That's Joe Shane, the general manager, his director of scouting, the college director, all the scouts. I can't say individually who it is, but apparently someone on that side or multiple people on that side are more, let's really consider Shedeur at 3. I've been told John Mara is staying out of it so far. Again, just sources. No, I haven't talked to the Mara family. But that there's a little bit more of a push than expected from the personnel people, and that the coaching staff, obviously headed by Brian Daboll, the head coach, is anti-taking Shedeur at 3.
Now that's interesting. Conflict between the coaching staff and the front office, given that the coach is the whole reason that Brian Daboll has his job is because he's a renowned offensive mind. So if the coaching staff is saying, I don't want that quarterback at 3, maybe at 23 or something like that, if you were able to trade back. But there are multiple people, according to Todd McShay in the front office, talking about New York taking Shedeur at 3. I have to sell that. I can't think there's a world in which a player who arguably isn't even a first-round prospect, though he could go in the first round, Shedeur Sanders, that you would spend the number 3 overall pick on him with Abdul Carter on the board. I get you trying to save your jobs. And there are plenty of people who don't make decisions in the best long-term interest of a franchise because they're trying to save their jobs. Nobody likes to get fired. I don't know if I've ever been fired. I got fired from my first high school job at a what do you call it? A public pool. But other than that, I don't think I've ever been fired in my career. Now, there's still time. You know, many of you, I'm sure, have rooted for it at some point in my career here. But nobody likes to get fired. Nobody likes the idea of your job security being in danger, especially when there's only 32 of those jobs to go around, as there is in the NFL. I have to think that the idea that the Giants the Giants front office is legitimately interested in Shedeur Sanders at 3 is bullshit. Unless they're incompetent, which there's reason to believe that they might be. But there's nothing about Shedeur Sanders other than the situation arising with Derek Carr or drafting him as a developmental prospect behind Geno in Vegas at 6, or the Giants trading back and then adding Shedeur Sanders. That makes me think there's any world in which they would actually consider spending the 3rd overall pick on a second-round graded player by most people's assessments. Other than there are always teams who are desperately in need of the quarterback position. But I can't imagine. All right, we've gone long tonight, and we're not done yet. It's Bert's turn to come on here and give us the things over the course of the weekend that we missed. In case you missed it, is the next segment. So we will welcome Bert in here, and he will give us his, I'm not sure what he's going to give us tonight, but we will find out together. Perhaps he'll have a shirt on. Perhaps he won't. Find out here in just a moment, right after I remind you that TrueMap Fitness is in the Gulch, and it's the best place to get your workout here in Middle Tennessee. Your first workout's free at TrueMapFitness.com. As a Middle Tennessee resident, no workout ever recycled or repeated. Go check out their facility. You'll fall in love. You'll love the coaching staff. You will love the convenience of its location. You will love everything about it. I promise you. That's my guarantee. TrueMapFitness.com is where you go. Enjoy their top-notch facility. And if you're in there on Fridays at about 7 o'clock, maybe I'll even see you in there. TrueMapFitness.com. All right. What do you got, Bert? He's either asleep or frozen. I can't tell. I think he might actually be frozen. Battery's passed out on his desk. Oh my God, is he asleep? No way. He's actually snoring. Oh my God, I'm going to take the graphic off. Shh, nobody wake him up. I thought I was having a pretty good show tonight. Apparently not. Look at him. He's got his headset on. We're talking directly to him, and he is absolutely not. Now the question is, so here's what we know about Bert. I'll do in case you missed it. Little guys, he's acting program director this week at the radio station. You just fell asleep on camera. I don't know if he. Oh no, what happened? Do you want to come back on here and defend yourself? Are you done? You just want to wrap it? What do you want to do here? Don't shake your head at me. You fell asleep. Get back on here and defend yourself right this minute. I just did your whole ass segment for you. I did an ad read. I'm yelling in your ear. You are snoring. I had a good show tonight, and you just wasted it. Get on here. You ready?
Hello. I feel like somebody messed something up there.
Did you?
I feel like somebody other than me messed something up there.
Are you sure? Because 157 people watching, 159 watching this live, heard you snoring. And it was even suggested that we just let you sleep to see if you got up and sleep ate something.
That seems pretty messed up.
Well,
From all of you. From all of you people out there that allowed this. Seems pretty messed up. But not as messed up as Paul Heyman making Shannon Sharp jokes the day after it happened.
Do you care about the opinions of people who are irrelevant? You don't care about the opinions of most people who are very relevant in your life. You don't care about the opinions of the people who pay you. They sit there and they go, hey, Mr. McAfee, don't talk about Shannon Sharp on the air today. And you go, I talk about anything I want. I'm Pat McAfee. Right. Watch me swing my schlong all over the place. They go, McAfee, don't talk about your podcast on the air. What do? I'm King Schlong. Okay. Watch me, Pat McAfee. Right?
This is on you. This is about you, not me. Accurate stuff.
Right?
Accurate stuff. But
I mean, come on. Hey, last night when the roast was over and you and I were out back and you're going, wise man. By the way, it's puff, puff, pass, not puff, 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 chase down the gummy, puff, 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 pass, right? And you go, wise man. You know Stephen A. Smith really sucks, right? And I go, I love Stephen A. The man calls me the GOAT. The man, Stephen A. Smith, is on the air saying, if there's one person in the universe that I, Stephen A. Smith, at $70 billion a year want to be, it's the wise man Paul Heyman. And you sit there and you go, these ESPN bastards give me the same money as him or they can.
No, that's not true. None of that's true. With
It's all true. Every bit of it's true.
He's a very red-faced individual, Pat McAfee, in the first place. I don't think I've ever seen a human being turn a brighter shade of red than that entire Paul Heyman segment. I don't think I've ever seen a human being make Pat McAfee squirm as badly as Paul Heyman did today. Evoking the Shannon Sharp rape allegations and lawsuit, which Shannon Sharp then responded by putting out the entire lawsuit, including all of the wording on the texts that woman was, again, allegedly sending him. Whoa. There's a lot of things going on. All right, you did your job. Get out of here. You need a nap.
I'm upset at all of you for
I'm
allowing him to do that to me.
Get your ass off my screen.
I'm upset with.
He just came off vacation and then fell asleep on his first night back on the job. That's about the standard around here. All right. Have a great rest of your evening. Many of you are alleging that it was a conspiracy that Burke could hear us the whole time. No, I promise you, he was passed the hell out. That's going to do it for us tonight. Radio show tomorrow. We're going to have a reporter from the Washington Post who did an awesome profile of Cam Ward on at 11 a.m. We're looking forward to that. His name is Adam Kilgore, and he will be on the radio show. We will get you ready for the pre-draft press conference. We'll ask you the most important questions that need to be asked of the Titans powers that be tomorrow. Hopefully I won't fall asleep in the middle of that press conference. Shit, I've got Fox Sports Radio to do in an hour to react to these NBA games, to go on national radio, and I got burnt, too busy to do his 5-minute segment in the middle of a YouTube live stream show where you can basically do everything or anything that you want except the bullshit that he did tonight. Have a great rest of your evening. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Well, shit, I'll talk to you in an hour on Fox Sports Radio if you're up. But if you're not, 10 a.m. tomorrow, locally, 104.5 The Zone.
Acapella. Here we go. What's my name again?
Jonathan Davis.
Can you introduce me as if I was like at
on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah. Like it's Saturday Night Live.
No, it's Bonnaroo week. Let's do it like he's the head.